Have you ever been in a nice house, and I mean a house way nicer than yours, and you look around and say, cheese and biscuits, these rooms look way nicer than mine? The reason is those rooms have been painted professionally, and those professionals aren't making the same mistakes you are. In this video, I'm going to go over 3 common mistakes that beginners make, how to avoid them, and an effective strategy used by professionals like myself to produce high-quality, uniform-looking paint jobs that'll have all your friends feeling super jelly.
You have a problem being jelly, Wendy.
One of the big issues I see with beginners is not using a consistent pattern, whether it be on walls, trim, or doors. They're just all over the place. This generally results in a poor quality finish, a lot of missed spots, a lot of areas not getting covered with paint. Those areas are referred to as holidays, and that's not a good thing. Painting without using a particular pattern is like trying to put together a set of Legos without the instructions and just kind of taking your best guess at it. It's probably not going to turn out how you would like, and it's not going to look like how it does on the box. In general, when I'm painting trim and walls, I move from top to bottom, left to right in a clockwise fashion around the room. You may feel more comfortable moving counterclockwise. That's totally fine. Whatever direction you choose, just maintain that pattern throughout the entirety of that room. And you should be good to go. The same is true for doors. Don't go at them all willy-nilly. I like moving from top to bottom, left to right. I actually have a couple videos that illustrate different patterns for doors, particularly the 6-panel variety. Picking a pattern and sticking to it will pay dividends, particularly when you move on to coat number 2. More on that topic in my final and most groundbreaking point, but for now, on to mistake number 2. Mistake number 2 are brush-related errors. One of the ones that I see a lot is folks overbrushing the paint. So they'll be painting a particular door or door jamb or wall or whatever, and they just keep moving the product back and forth. There's no more paint emptying out of the paint well of the brush. So nothing else is coming off the brush. They're just working the product that's already on the surface over and over and over again, and you don't need to do that. Pretty much when you are dipping into your paint and then applying to a surface, you just want to get the majority of the paint that's on the brush off of it, and then work that a little bit so it looks like one long uniform brush stroke, and is covering the surface in a uniform manner. Going back and forth 1,000 times doesn't really do anything for you, just slows you down. Another brush-related error that we see quite often is someone having way too much paint on their brush. Allow me to demonstrate, and this is going to hurt my soul. Oh boy, okay. All right, so see this? Boy, does that bother me. Okay, so this is a paintbrush that has been dipped in way too much paint. There are a variety of reasons as to why this is bad. In general, you're going to get too much paint on whatever surface you're painting. That's gonna cause runs and other drips and things of that nature. You're also going to be dripping paint onto things that you don't want to drip paint on. A lot of times too, folks that get this much paint on the brush also end up with a lot of paint on their hands. And also the paint really is not intended to run down to the metal part of the brush where the heel is. And it's gonna get down through these bristles into the wooden spacer on the inside of the brush. And when that happens, basically the brush is just going to deform. It's not gonna be able to hold an edge and a lot of other bad things that are not great. Even if I go to wash this out, this brush is now fairly well compromised, and it's bad news bears all around. You wanna treat your paint and your brush like a fine scotch. If you look at a brush, you want to do 2 fingers, maybe 3 if you're being generous. Right there. So I got plenty of space between the wet part of the brush and the heel where the metal is. This gives me plenty of product on my bristles, plenty to work with and do what I need to do. Particularly once the brush saturates through, that'll hold plenty of paint. The paintbrush is a precision instrument and should be treated as such. If you have the proper amount of paint on the bristles, it's gonna allow you to have much cleaner cuts. You'll have way more control of what's going on as you're doing your cut-ins. And if you're painting trim, you'll just have way more control over the product flowing off of the brush, and that'll help you create a uniform and smooth looking finish. And thirdly, one of the more egregious mistakes I see people make consistently, whether they are beginners, DIYers, or even some professionals, is to try and get away with one coat. Any professional that's worth a darn is going to default to coating things twice. It'll be hopefully presented in their quotes as doing 2 coats on whatever surface they're painting. I cringe when I hear people say they're gonna try and get away with one coat. Painting a room is not like Ocean's 11. You're not trying to pull off a heist.
Exactly.
If the goal is to produce the finest quality finish you're capable of, then if you just go into it assuming you're going to do 2 coats on all the surfaces you'll be painting, that is, in my opinion, a much better way to produce a high quality result. And I don't care what it says on the can, 1 coat coverage is nonsense and was invented by the marketing department. So there are a couple of good reasons to do 2 coats on pretty much whatever you're painting. One being that if you miss something on the first coat, you will likely get it on the second coat, and that will promote a uniform finish at the end. Doing 2 coats will also promote cleaner cut-ins. A lot of times when you have trickier cut-ins, particularly where the wall meets the ceiling, you might not get it perfectly straight on the first go-around, so it's a lot easier to touch that up on your second go-around and just kind of clean up all of your corners and things like that. And also, really, that first coat serves more as a preparation phase for your final coat. So that first base coat is really just laying the groundwork for a really nice, solid finish coat to go over top of that. And that's going to give your paint the best chance at looking awesome. And also, if you're using a high quality paint, 2 coats will almost guarantee that you will cover up whatever color is underneath, unless you have a really extreme color change. Now, I can already hear some protestations in the comments saying, but Jeremy, if I do 2 coats, it's going to take twice as long and use twice as much paint. But nay, my friends. The second coat almost always goes way quicker than the first. All of the hard work has already been done. You've already prepped the room and you've got drop cloths and everything's already set up. So a second coat never takes as long as the first. Also, when you lay a product over itself, it spreads way further than it did on the first coat. So you're actually going to use less paint on the second coat than you did on the first. Now, you can avoid all the mistakes that I mentioned in this video, but if you don't know what sheens go where, you could still screw up your paint job. Check out my video where I explain paint sheens in under 5 minutes to clear up any confusion. Do it.